Hey, what up, everybody? Sydney Hollow here, aka Ada, aka Will the Motherfucking Beast. We're back with another episode of Lofi Lowdown, presented by Hollow Sounds. First and foremost, I want to say thank you to everyone that watched the first video. I got some amazing feedback on it. I want to say thank you to everyone that supported me and also submitted music. We had 6 songs for the first one. That was just crazy. I expected like 1 submission or some shit. So thank you to you guys, seriously. And in fact, with this episode, we're going to do a couple things different. One, I've listened to all these songs before. In the last video, I listened to the song only once, and that was on camera with you guys. We're still going to listen to it on camera, but I did listen to the songs a couple times beforehand because I wanted to have a better idea to be able to give you guys better feedback. The other thing is that I'm not going to do as many songs because nobody wants to fucking sit here and listen to me talk for fucking 40 minutes. Like, you don't even know who I am. Why the fuck would you want to listen to me talk for that long? Like, I don't even want to listen to me talk for that long. So, we're going to do 3 songs today, not 6. 3, not 6. Okay. The first one that we are going to start with, we're going to get right into it. The first one that we're going to start with is a repeat submitter, doesn't matter. Miss Antidote, she had that one, she had a tight song in the first video. Let's insert song here. Okay, you remember that one. Alright, so we're gonna do her song called Leave the World. Now, shh, listen. If it would play. Let's try that again.
I have an idea, and I want to know what the average man thinks about it. When we find out what he thinks, we'll change his thinking.
I think I found the antidote.
But somehow I can't see nothing but trouble ahead.
You're wondering about me, aren't you? You're wondering why you're here.
Naturally. Where we go?
His apartment.
Oh, I can see it.
We can make it if we leave now. What do you say?
I want to leave this planet and go to Mars. Because there are strange wonders there. Because there will be scarlet sunsets over barren wastes. And on a star-strewn night, the thin cold air of a dying world stirring in restless sighs across the valleys of the dry canals.
People are lonesome too. So lonesome I almost gave up waiting.
Oh, my dear.
They said I was crazy, but I knew all the time. Way deep in my heart I knew that someday, somehow, even if Azusa was at the end of the world, someone like you, I knew you'd come. There aren't any regulations now. If you still want to kiss me, please, just so I'll know it's real.
Just one more word. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Miss Antidote. It's always a pleasure listening to your tracks. Okay, so I definitely have a couple thoughts about this. First and foremost, the samples that you use have consistently, and by consistently I mean the first time and this time, been on point. For real. If anyone watched that last video, and if anyone knows me, you will know that I always question movie samples or vocal samples or something like that, like dialogue samples, because it's so predominant in the lo-fi hip-hop game that it's saturated, man. It's oversaturated. It's like, you need to tone that shit down. But Miss Antidote, I swear to God, you do it perfectly every time I've heard it, the 2 times I've heard it. And I think what really sets yours apart, and this is what I tell people, is that when they use a vocal sample or a dialogue sample like that, I always ask, what purpose does it serve in the track? What message are you sending with it? Yours in this, I feel like, is what wraps the whole story of your track together. There is definitely a story behind this song, and that story definitely is told and comes through 100%. I do get a sense of melancholy and desire for escape or change. That's something that I get out of the dialogue, especially when he's talking about wanting to leave Earth and go to Mars. Yeah, another one of the vocal samples that I really liked was when you said the sample that said, "I think I found the antidote." I think that's tight. It reminds me of that, like, mustard on a beat, that kind of shit. And if you had that on, somehow playfully inserted into your songs, it'd be a really good calling card. Like the fucking Joker or some shit. Okay. At the beginning, you use this ride. Cut that shit. It's fucking awful and I hate it. I'm sorry. Love you. Hate the ride. For real. And I'll tell you why. It's piercing. And I think in your last song we kind of had a similar, I don't want to call it, we had a similar issue, right? In that the rides that you use, or the cymbals or crashes, just tend to be really fucking loud and front and center. And it doesn't need to. For this one, I don't know if you cut the highs a little bit on it, the high end of it, turn it down, throw some reverb, try to throw it in the back a little bit or something. I don't know what you could do. It might change the sound of it too much to where it's not going to sound great or like interlock with the rest of the track. You might just have to find a whole new ride. I don't know, but wherever you're getting them from, I'm just not liking them. That's just my opinion, and who fucking cares about that? So, let's see. The vocal sample that you used that you chopped, and it sounds like you played it out on an MPC or some shit, that's tight. I don't really know if it's saying Tommy or sorry or whatever. It doesn't matter. I like it. It reminds me a lot of MIA, and MIA gets to my heart, so that's pretty easy to get me there. Something else I noticed a lot is that your kicks are peaking and it's so subtle, and I think if you weren't really listening for it, you won't hear it, but your kicks are definitely peaking. So, I don't know, try a limiter or some shit. I don't fucking know. The atmospheric reverb that you have, especially on the piano, is really nice, and it kind of fills up the space, but here's a problem that we have with the song, is that there is a lot of just empty ass space, and I think it's mostly in the mid range. So but it's kind of weird, I don't know, because your bass isn't super bassy. It's pretty midi. It's closer in the mid range than the low end, and it's a really cool bass line. It's front and center which is a little different, I think. I don't know what you could do with it. I think you're doing the right thing with the bass. But what's happening is with the kick and the bass and the piano, it's almost like you checked the checklist of, okay, I got my low range with the kick, I got my mid low with the bass, and I've got my high with the piano. But something's happening where there's just still so much open space between that. I would just go into the EQ and fuck around with them, put that shit in mono, put your headphones on and keep the volume low, and see if you can't fill in that space by fucking around with the EQ. I don't know if it's going to work. It's just a suggestion. It's something that I would try. And that empty space is so prominent at this part that you have this build-up at 2 minutes and around 24 seconds. It sounds so tight. It's got this whooshing sound like shh. And then shit's about to get real, and then it just goes back into this thin sounding... I mean, the melody is really cool and shit, but it's just really thin sounding. And that's where I think needs the most work. Figure out the relationship between your low, your mid, and your high, and try to fill those spaces. Yeah, but I think it's a great track. I think it's fucking on point with that other one too. And if you do go back and fuck with this one, I would definitely like to hear the outcome. Alright, thank you. That was Miss Antidote with Leave the World. Let's go to the next one. We got Midpoint is the producer. Song called Mayfly. Let's see how it sounds. I know how it sounds. You don't know how it sounds. Damn, I don't even get to finish writing my notes on that one. Okay. Fucking, that shit was tight. Midpoint with Mayfly. Alright. A, really like that you wasted no time getting into that fucking beat, because that shit was tight. That's like a beat that you could rap over for sure. So wasted no time getting into it, which is cool because the prototypical or the typical hip-hop or lo-fi hip-hop beat is like, let me give a 4-bar, or an 8-bar intro, and then let me go, start building the beat up from there. This shit was like, no, we're jumping right in. Coming off of that Miss Antidote song, and something I really want to point out in this one, is to draw a comparison between the mixing, okay, and the low end of this one is so full, and I fucking loved it. The kicks were low, they were bassy, but they were more punchy. Like, the compression was perfect, I think, on it. Which if that was the only thing that was handling the low end, which now that I compare this to Miss Antidote, I think that's what was happening on her beat, was that fuck man. I'm gonna slow down real quick. On this one, on Midpoint's Mayfly, the kicks were compressed and punchy. They were also bassy, but they were punchy, okay? and then the bass was fat. Those two things, the punchiness brought the low end out for people to hear, and the bass, that fat bass, filled the space up and didn't let it sound thin. With Miss Antidote, I think that might have been the problem with your low end, is that you had the compressed kicks, but your bass was more in the mids and it wasn't filling up that space. Okay, but let's talk about Mayfly. So that shit was tight. That all filled up the low end. Your mids were covered by this, like, in the back of the mix, this, I don't know if it was like a keyboard, I don't know what it was. It wasn't the chimes. It might have been like a MIDI version of, what the fuck is that? Like a marimba or something? I don't fucking know, man. What the fuck? I don't know, but it was tight and it was like creamy sounding. It was just like, that kind of creaminess filled up that whole midsection. Then you had the highs covered by the fucking like chimes and shit and the horn. My one critique on this, I would say, is that it ends so abruptly, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's several instances where you can do that, where it just leaves the listener wanting more and keeps them coming back to the song, and I love that. That's not going to happen with this one. Sorry. The beat's really good. It's not good enough to just cut it and keep people to want to come back more. It was too off-putting, man. So, as lo-fi typical as it is, you could fade this one out. You could end it with a fucking vocal sample, as long as the sample adds something to the track and is not just a transition. Okay? I don't know what you could do. The feeling and vibes that I'm kind of getting from it is this like summertime, like carefree kind of attitude, maybe even like a Southern California thing. So I don't know, man. Find like a fucking quote from The Endless Summer and throw that shit in there, if it works. You know, you'd have to really fucking fuck around with it and figure it out. But yeah, overall, I liked that song. I thought it was pretty good. Figure out that ending, because just cutting it off ain't gonna cut it. See what I did there? Alright, next one. For the last one, again, this was only 3 songs. I'm fucking kind of digging it because it makes filming really easy. It makes watching and listening really easy, I hope. And I can get in a little bit more in depth. So I don't feel pressed for time. This last one, 17-year-old producer from Toronto, Canada. We got Noro with the song October Picnic. Let's see.
There it is, children. Now, why don't we all sing it together?
Noro, that shit was cute, dude. That was really cute. Okay. I feel like this was another good example of using dialogue samples for the right reasons. that intro one that was like, I don't fucking remember what it said. What did it say? Let's see. I think he said I got. No, what does it say? Maybe a story will cheer you up, and then it goes into this like happy-go-lucky, free, like innocent sounding guitar / ukulele. I'm not really sure which one it was. But guitar / ukulele sample was really cool, and the Let's Sing Along sample, I like that it came from a different like source, you know. That was really cool, and it fit really well because the samples that you used. Excuse me again, man. I just had Korean food. I just like filled up on a bite. You could probably see the stains on my shirt. Let me like cover that shit up. All that fucking bulgogi and kimchi, fucking udon noodles and shit, man. Anyway, that's besides the point. Your dialogue samples seriously fit, man. They added that. I wouldn't say they added a dimension to it, but they enhanced dimensions that were already present in the song. The song was already innocent sounding, kind of childish like, and those dialogue samples like bolstered that even more and made everyone, like, you made a statement, and you should be proud of making a fucking statement like that, because a lot of people struggle with saying this is what this song is, and you did that. Good job. I love the atmosphere. The more I make these videos and listen to people's songs and really hear myself talk about what I think about them, I'm realizing I'm really an atmosphere person. And when I say atmosphere, I mean how you build a world through sound, okay? Because making music isn't as simple as, okay, I wrote a verse, I wrote a hook, I wrote a bridge, let's put these things together, because that's when you get disjointed ass music like what I make. It's not good. Well, yeah, I make some okay, whatever. But that's how you get disjointed ass music, you know? And so atmosphere is the difference between a disjointed song and a song that makes sense, a composition that makes sense. And I think that your atmosphere was really good. And atmosphere could be anything from the reverb that you use to the sounds that are surrounding the listener. You really got to throw them into a 3-dimensional sound space. And while you have not mastered the 3-dimensional sound space in this yet, I think that you're heading that way. You built your atmosphere through like little flipping sounds. I don't know how else to describe it like that. Can we get it? Can we play it real quick? No, I'm not going to put this on. Let's play the flipping sounds right here. Okay. So that's like the flipping sounds that I'm talking about. You also built the atmosphere up through the chimes. You also built the atmosphere through that cool little synth. And then even the effects that you use. One thing that I think you could really do with this song, since it is so repetitive, it's not very long, which is good, especially if you're doing a super repetitive track. One thing that you can do is try to fuck around with different effects more. You did fuck around with the effects on certain sounds, on certain areas of it. Try doing like the DJ looper effect on the entire track at certain parts. Like make that shit fucking repeat and feel jittery for a second. I don't know if that would work, but you could try it out for sure. The other thing is that you still need to work on EQing your shit. Like the relationship between like your low end, your mid end, and your high end, okay? Fill up the spaces. Your low end, it all still worked, but I felt like it barely worked. And the reason, the most top of my head reason that I have for that is that on your low end, your kick handled pretty much the whole of that low end. And it was fine because your kick was punchy and it was bassy. It sounded like you had maybe like an 808 or some kind of other bass in the background, but it was so quiet and it was so forced to the back and the ground that it was hard to pick out. I thought I heard it. It was like a phantom. Man, you had a phantom 808 in there. It was like that movie Tremors. It was just below the surface, and it would, you know, like in Tremors when they would like see it, like, holy shit, did I just see like what the fuck I thought I saw? That was your bass. Okay, so bring that shit. If it is there, bring it out. If it's not there, put some shit in there, because you really need to link your low end. Like that last, was it Mayfly by Midpoint? I keep wanting to say Midtown, but I think that was a fucking shitty punk band or something from back in the day. his kicks were punchy and compressed, and then he had a bass to back up that low end and like give it a platform to stand up on. So give your kicks a platform to stand up on. Don't just rely on your kicks, because that platform is what's going to put your low end on the same level, the same playing field as your mids and your highs. Man, I'm really about fucking EQing today. Anyway, those are the 3 songs, okay? I'm gonna say the artist names and shit again. We had Miss Antidote with Leave the World, we had Midpoint with Mayfly, and we had Noro with October Picnic. Really great job, guys, and thank you so much for submitting. Please leave your feedback in the comments below on this video. I really want to hear what you guys think. I want to hear fucking whatever, man. Ask me about the Korean food I had. I don't care, but just like talk to me. Let me know what you thought. Let me know what I could do better. Let me know what I could stop doing or what I could do more of. And then submit another song, dude. Like always. I like the repeat submission. Miss Antidote, thank you for submitting again. I look forward to hearing you guys' music some more. Make sure my camera literally stopped recording when I was about to say that's all I had to say. So peace.